Hello everyone, thank you for joining me again. Well, Thanksgiving is around the corner, so this week I thought it might be fun to make 3 holiday-worthy desserts, none of which are pumpkin pie. I love pumpkin pie as much as anyone, but after making it every Thanksgiving for decades, I want to try something new. So this is what we are doing. Cranberry cream cheese puff pastry, a rustic apple cake, and flan de calabaza. It's a pumpkin flan, and we're going to start with the flan first. Now, I will post all of the recipes I'm doing in the description box below, so you don't have to write anything down. And the flan starts with caramel, so we need 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar, and I'm just putting that in my saucepan here. Then I need 1/4 cup of water. Done. I need to bring this over to the cooktop and let this come to a simmer and let it cook until it turns a nice caramelly color. While the sugar is caramelizing, I'm going to beat 5 large eggs in a bowl. Then I need to beat in pumpkin puree from a 15-ounce can and evaporated milk from a 12-ounce can and condensed milk from a 14-ounce can. Such lovely ingredients here. And I am keeping my eye on the sugar behind me. I don't want to stir it, but it's okay to swirl the pan. And then we can just whisk all of these ingredients. You could do this in a blender, but I didn't pull my blender out, so a whisk it will be. Okay. Then, before I forget, I need pure vanilla extract and pumpkin pie spice. So a splash of vanilla. And the recipe calls for 1 tablespoon of pumpkin pie spice. And that would be the equivalent of 3 teaspoons. I can already smell the sugar caramelizing. Let me bring the camera over to show you. So the sugar is starting to turn sort of an amber color. And you need to watch the sugar very carefully because it can go from amber to black in a matter of seconds. And I think this caramel is exactly where I want it. I'm making this flan in an 8-inch diameter cake pan, and I am setting the pan in another pan because flan bakes in a water bath. And then I want to swirl this cake pan so that the caramel, the beautiful, beautiful caramel, coats the bottom evenly. And we can set this aside for a moment to eliminate, or at least to reduce, the chance of air bubbles in my custard. I'm going to pour it through a fine mesh sieve on top of the hot caramel. Actually, because of the pumpkin puree, this custard is a little too dense to pour through the sieve, so I'm just going to pour it directly onto the caramel. There we are. Then I need to boil some water and preheat my oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I've made regular flan in the past, but this is my first time making pumpkin flan, so there is definitely a learning curve. Now I can pour about 1 inch of water into this larger pan. This is actually a gratin pan, but you could use a roasting pan. And then this goes into the preheated oven until the custard just jiggles in the center. That will take about 45 minutes. Here is our pumpkin flan, and it looks just fantastic. Now, I'm going to let this cool. Well, first, I'm going to transfer the cake pan to a wire rack and then let the flan cool to room temperature, at which point we can either unmold it or we can refrigerate it overnight. I think I'm going to refrigerate this overnight because it's getting rather late in the day. And then I will see you back here tomorrow when we unmold the flan and we make 2 more desserts. Good morning. So I put the pumpkin flan in the refrigerator last night. We will unmold it today, give it a taste test. And we're also going to make the rustic apple cake today and the cranberry cream cheese puff pastry treats, just as soon as I have a sip of coffee. That first sip is always the best. And for the rustic apple cake, I need 3 baking apples plus a cinnamon sugar mixture. So I have sugar, cinnamon. You could actually use pumpkin pie spice in place of the plain cinnamon. And I want to give this a whisk. Then I need to peel and core and slice my 3 apples. These are Granny Smith apples, but you could use Golden Delicious or Crispin. Any baking apple will work here. Lizette and I will taste test all of these recipes at the end of this video. I can tell you right now that the flan we made earlier and this apple cake turned out just magnificently well. Now I'm tossing the apple slices first in lemon juice and then in the cinnamon sugar mixture. Now I need to preheat my oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and prepare my baking dish. So my oven is preheating, and I've just cut out some parchment to place in my 8-inch baking dish. This way I can unmold the cake easily, I hope. And the baking spray, not the baking spray, the avocado spray, helps the parchment to stick, to stay in place. So I have my mise en place right here, except I'm missing the flour. And here you are. And if I forgot to tell you, I will put a link to the printable recipe for this rustic apple cake in the description below. For the cake batter, I need flour, baking powder, salt, and nutmeg. Nutmeg is the perfect perfume here. Oh, and I wanted to tell you some good news. My book club is having its monthly meeting this Friday. I'm not hosting, but my friends Vicky and Alban are, and they are making a dinner, and they asked if I could bring a dessert. And I said, funny you should mention that, because right now I'm filming a video with 3 desserts. So I will have plenty to bring to that book club meeting. Okay, and we can set the dry ingredients aside. Need my paddle attachment here. You can make the cake batter in a stand mixer or in any large bowl if you are using handheld electric beaters. Now I need ½ cup or 113 grams of softened butter. Let's make sure this is soft. I left this out overnight, but it's winter time, this house is cold, and sometimes butter just doesn't soften properly without the help of the microwave. And I'm going to beat this butter for 1 minute. After 1 minute, I will beat in sugar, beaten eggs, avocado oil, and vanilla extract. And then we can beat in the flour mixture at low speed. I'm going to do this gradually. If you hear any barking, it is my dog Avery barking, I think, at a squirrel. So we can put this batter into the prepared 8-inch baking pan and smooth it out. Then I want to arrange the apple slices in 3 rows. I'm going to have to trim these apples just a bit because I want 3 rows and my slices are too wide. So I arranged the apples so I have 2 rows facing in one direction and 1 row, the center row, facing the opposite direction. And then this goes into the preheated oven until a skewer inserted into the batter part of the cake comes out clean. That will take about 1 hour. And while this cake is baking, I'm going to go ahead and clean up my workstation and grab the ingredients for the next recipe. Well, I guess our next recipe will have to wait for just a moment because this cake is already done and it looks and smells just fantastic. Now, I need to let this cool for 15 minutes before we can unmold it. And I'm toying with the idea of glazing the apples with some red currant jelly. Yes, let's glaze the apples. So I need to melt some of this jelly. And I can do that right in the microwave. So that only took 30 seconds to melt. The red currant jelly will give the apples a little sheen. It will make them glisten and look festive. Once the apples are glazed, I will transfer the cake to a wooden board. We will slice the cake and give it a taste test after we finish the next dessert recipe. So this third recipe, as I mentioned, is cranberry cream cheese puff pastry. I have never made it before. It might be a total disaster, or it might be the best thing I've ever tasted. We shall see. And the first thing, or one of the things we will need, is cranberry sauce. And I made this sauce last night, so let's go back to last night so I can show you the easy recipe. Basic cranberry sauce is a cinch to make from scratch. I put 1 cup of water and 1 cup of sugar in a saucepan and bring the mixture to a boil. Once the sugar has dissolved, I add 12 ounces of fresh or frozen cranberries. Then I let the mixture simmer for about 10 minutes or until the cranberries burst and the sauce thickens. After the sauce has cooled to room temperature, I cover and refrigerate it. Now we need a cream cheese mixture. So I have 8 ounces of softened cream cheese here. And then I need to add 1 egg yolk, a teaspoon of vanilla extract, 1/3 cup of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of lemon juice. I'm out of lemons now, so adding this high quality bottled stuff. And then we just mix everything together. This mixture does smell very nice. It smells lemony. I'm going to put a little flour down. And this is just regular store-bought puff pastry. Press out the creases. Parchment-lined baking sheet. The puff pastry on it. And I want to press out the creases from another sheet of puff pastry. And we can set this over here for a moment. Following the recipe, I'm spreading half of the cream cheese mixture over the puff pastry sheet. Then I spread half of the cranberry sauce over the cream cheese and top the works with the second pastry sheet. Next, I'm cutting the pastry into diagonal strips. The recipe did not indicate how large or small the strips should be, so I'm just guessing here and hoping for the best. Finally, roll each strip into a crescent. And then we do the exact same thing with 2 more sheets of puff pastry. Well, I really hope this recipe works out, because if it does, I think these treats could be very nice, not only for dessert, a holiday dessert, but a holiday afternoon tea or a holiday brunch. Well, I said this might be a disaster, and in all honesty, I'm starting to think it will be a disaster. We will see very soon. Now my oven is still heated to 375 degrees Fahrenheit from that rustic apple cake. So the oven is ready to go, and I need only to brush this pastry with egg. Now, even though these roll-ups look pretty messy, I do like the color. Very Christmassy. And speaking of Christmas, I cannot wait to start decorating this house for the holidays. And I hope you will join me. And I hope Lizette will join me too, because we always have great fun making Victorian decorations. 20 minutes or until golden brown. Oh no! I made a mistake by placing one rack at the highest position. So the puff pastry at the top got a little black. The others look pretty nice. I'm going to let these cool for a bit. I'm going to put all of my desserts together, unmold the flan, and then we can do a taste test. I put these back in the oven because they looked a little bit raw. Now the puff pastry looks perfectly browned. So here is the flan de calabaza, the pumpkin flan that we made yesterday and that I refrigerated overnight. Want to add some hot water just to loosen the caramel at the bottom so that we can unmold the flan. Also, I want to run a plastic knife between the pan and the flan just to loosen it from the walls of the pan. Now let's see if this will unmold. Let's see. It is absolutely gorgeous. The caramel creates this mirror-like finish on the flan. Oh, it's really beautiful. Now I want to cut this rustic apple cake into 9 portions. And we can put the squares on this round board. And I want to arrange some of the puff pastry cranberry treats on this tray. And I'm going to save these 3 extras just for me. And I want to dust the tops of the puff pastry with confectioner's sugar. I think the confectioner's sugar makes these little treats look even more festive than they already are. We might as well bring a little romance to this setup. Lisette, pumpkin, flan. I have just a teeny tiny piece for me. It's super creamy. It's sweet, but not too sweet. Ooh, I can really taste the pumpkin spice in here too. Love it.
This is super fabulous.
I agree. Lisette just said it's the perfect substitute for a pumpkin pie. And remember, it's gluten-free. Next, rustic apple cake. There you are. The apples are very tender. I have a corner piece. Do you have a corner piece?
Yes, I do.
Love.
The flavors in this cake, absolutely comforting.
And it's just cinnamon and sugar. I did not put pumpkin spice in here, although one certainly could. All of the ingredients in this cake just add up to a phenomenal dessert. Perfect for Thanksgiving or any time. I'm going to use all my plates today because we still have to try the cranberry puff pastry treats. Do you want a big one, a small one?
I'll take that small one over there.
Over here?
Yeah.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. There you are.
Thank you.
And I will also take a small one. Now you could eat these out of hand, or with a fork and a knife. Yum. They are super flaky. In all honesty, I thought this recipe would be a total disaster, but I actually love these cranberry puff pastries. They have the perfect balance of sweet and tart. And Lizette, can you taste the lemon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can taste the lemon, smell the lemon. These are perfect little numbers.
So which one is your favorite dessert, Kevin? What would you rate it?
The favorite? I don't know if I have a favorite. I love each one of them. Each one is uniquely wonderful. It's like comparing apples to oranges. We really can't do that, not with these desserts. Well, I hope you will give one or all of these desserts a try someday. Again, I think they belong on the Thanksgiving table or the Christmas table or the afternoon tea table or a brunch table. And if you are like me and you have made pumpkin pie every year for decades for Thanksgiving, maybe try one of these desserts. And again, I will post the printable recipes. I will post a link to the printable recipes in the description box below. And thank you so much for spending time with me as I made these desserts. And until next time, please treat yourself super well. And I can't wait to see you again. Bye for now, friends.